welcome to episode 139 of the Nintendo Fun Club podcast. I'm Ryan, and joining me today is Lindsay.
Hi.
Hi. So, we have a bunch of cool stuff to talk about this episode. We've both been playing the ARMS Global Testpunch, which has been happening this weekend. So we're going to talk about some of our thoughts on that. I have been playing a ton of Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. I have a lot of thoughts on that. And then you had a pretty cool Switch story that we'll share at the end of the episode. But first, let's go ahead and start with, I guess, just one bit of news this week, but it's one that's like super relevant to both of us, and it's really good that John isn't here because
he would not be interested.
These are the parts that he hates, and that is there was a new Monster Hunter game announced. Not quite a new one, but new in some ways. So Monster Hunter Double Cross was announced for the Nintendo Switch. This game came out on the 3DS previously. It came out in March on 3DS, and it is actually a kind of improved, expanded version of Monster Hunter Cross for 3DS, which came to North America as Monster Hunter Generations, which in some ways is kind of an expanded version of Monster Hunter 4, or Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. There's a lot of similarities, stuff that carries over. But, you know, it's an iterative series, you know, in general, and it, you know, just kind of keeps improving with these small tweaks and stuff. So, so Double Cross, I mean, like, it's exciting in general, you know, that it's even, like, you know, that the 3DS game even exists. We love Monster Hunter, but the idea of a Switch version, that's, you know, I mean, as soon as the Switch was announced, that was one of the first things people started talking about.
It's one of the first things I started talking about. Truthfully, my first Monster Hunter game was Monster Hunter 3 for the Wii U. And I play Generations and 4 Ultimate, but, I mean, I've talked about it on the podcast before, like, some of those games just make my hands hurt if I play them too much on the 3DS, so I'm, like, really excited that Monster Hunter is coming back to a bigger system, like, physically bigger. Yeah,
the Monster Hunter hand cramps are very real. Yeah. Those have been occurring since, you know, if you started on PSP, and, you know, doing the claw and all of that, like, it was even worse. You know, it's gotten better with the, you know, the 3DS iterations, especially once, you know, you had the circle pad in there, the new 3DS, all that. But still, like, Monster Hunter, of all the versions I played, it definitely felt best on Wii U.
Oh yeah, like that game, I even picked it up like a couple months ago. It still feels good.
Yeah. And, you know, and I mean, the Switch is just perfect because, like, you know, the Switch, you know, it feels great as a portable system. You have two really good analog sticks, no nubs, nothing like that.
The nub kills me.
I don't hate the nub, but this is better.
But because Monster Hunter 4 and Generations added that vaulting. Yeah. So, like, yes, it was a huge improvement to be able to look around you in Monster Hunter with the nub, but like with the vaulting, if they keep the vaulting, which I think they will, because the vaulting has been super popular.
Yeah, and, you know, I honestly, like, I have Generations. I honestly haven't played enough of it to really kind of, like, know the nuances, but
you always choose dual wielder, and you can only vault with the new weapon from 3.
Oh, okay. Remember? But there's still, in Generations, there's still, like, jumping onto monsters' backs and stuff from,
and
like,
I haven't
4.
played enough of Generations.
Okay. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think the Switch is going to be the perfect place to play this. You know, just in portable mode itself, like the Switch is such a huge improvement over the 3DS. But then like factor in like being able to play with a Pro controller, which is one of like the best feeling video game controllers ever. And like, oh my god, like I'm gonna put some serious time into this.
I mean, you know I will, because I always put a lot of time
Yeah.
into Monster Hunter. So
I think it's going to, you know, it's going to give us cool options as well. Like, you know, we're both going to be playing it, like being able to play, you know, both of us in portable mode somewhere, or, you know, one of us on the TV, one of us on the couch.
Mode.
Yeah.
Which we used to do that with 3, remember?
Yeah.
When that first came out.
Yeah.
Like, we actually have a really good time playing Monster Hunter together.
Right, because I would play on 3DS, you'd play on the Wii U.
Yeah.
And,
or we played 4 together, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because prancing.
Yeah. So this is definitely something to prance about. Yeah, it's hitting Japan in August, and it's not a bad price. It's like around 5,500 yen, like $50 ish. So I've already seen posted on Go Nintendo that, you know, there's with a lot of Switch games, you can buy them on the Japanese eShop, and then, you know, since it's region free, some Switch games will have the English right there. Like Disgaea 5, for example, came out like months ago in Japan, and you could buy it like right then and there from the Switch eShop, and it would have English text when you played it with your English account. But I've already seen that this game will not have English text when it launches in Japan. There's no word on a localization yet. So, you know, August, it's I mean, it's really tempting for me to just buy the Japanese version, even ordering from like Amazon Japan or something, because it is, you know, the system is region free. If there's no word on a localization, I might do that, because I feel like I can get around in a Monster Hunter game in Japanese. I played some of 4, the original version of 4, on my Japanese 3DS, and
yeah,
you know,
because like you bought like 2 games. You bought the DS and like 2 games in Japan.
Yeah.
And one was Monster Hunter. The other was Yokai Watch.
Yep. And I bought a bunch of Dragon Quest games too.
That's true.
Bought like Dragon Quest 7 when there was like no word on that ever getting localized, and yeah. So I feel like that's doable. I would, you know, I'm really hoping that, you know, at E3, we get like a little, I mean, even if it's just like a sizzle reel or some sort of Treehouse Live, it doesn't have to be a big thing or anything, but, you know, some sort of confirmation that Capcom is working on a localization. And, you know, if it's a few months after, then I'll wait for the English version.
My only concern with the Japanese version is, for me, is the making the armor part.
Yeah.
Like, I think I could get around with everything else. It's just the making the armor and the weapons and upgrading the armor and the weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that can be a little bit technical, like, because sometimes you have to go look for certain parts of the monster.
That's true. Yeah.
So, like, if you can't read or don't know what monster you're supposed to be going for.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the benefit here would be, you know, the English-speaking Monster Hunter community is pretty hardcore, and I can almost guarantee that there are already like guides up for the 3DS version. So, you know, that would have like quest details for every quest, like all the armor sets, all that. That's just it's a bit more work, you know, having to have your phone or tablet out next to you while you're playing, but I think it's totally doable, and I'm so excited about the idea of playing a Monster Hunter game on the Switch that, like, I feel like I could deal.
But I also think that having that huge fan base, like Monster Hunter has had and Capcom have had huge Monster Hunter events in the US.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like that is even more hope that this like there's kind of almost no reason not to put out a translation.
Because I mean the last two have done really well. Like 4 Ultimate did awesome.
Yeah. I have a kid at school who asked me this week, yesterday. We were out at recess, and he goes, "Hey, what do you wish for on the Switch?" And I said, "Monster Hunter." And he said, "That's what I was gonna say." I love Monster Hunter games.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I mean I feel like also something that we're seeing with the Switch, like, yeah, there aren't a ton of units out there yet, but Switch owners are generally happy with their systems, and they are buying games for it.
Yeah.
Like, games are selling on Switch. So, I mean, I think, you know, right now, like, I mean, as soon as you can get a game on Switch that, you know, this sort of audience would want, which I think Monster Hunter is totally that. I mean, I think the sooner the better for like Capcom. I mean, I don't know what their business plans are, or what makes sense to them, but I mean, just from like a, you know, being involved in the fan community, like people want to buy Switch games, and people are buying Switch games like every week.
Well, and being someone who works at a elementary school, like, it is being talked about more than a PlayStation 4 at this point. Like, all my kids want a Nintendo Switch. And that might be because I talk about my Nintendo Switch, but, like, like, a lot of them talk about it. Like, oh, I want my Nintendo Switch. My mom promised me I could have one for Christmas, you know? I'm waiting for mine in the mail. And I'm like, oh, buddy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, people are talking about it, and I feel like it's a good option for parents too, because then you're not being sold like Call of Duty or Dead Island.
Is that like, what is Dead Island? Is that like
that's
a
the zombie one that was like that
had the torso bust.
Yeah.
Yes, the bloody woman's torso.
Yeah.
Special edition.
So like
okay,
even Monster Hunter is not it's a parent friendly kid game.
Yeah, and I mean if you look at the fan base in Japan, it's, you know, it's a lot of like maybe not elementary school age students, but like tweens, teens, and then like, you know, all the way up through like salarymen, like because of the co-op nature of it. So yeah, I think it would be one of those, you know, I think it would be an early success if they did localize it here. I think it's going to do real well in Japan, and then I think it could do pretty well here.
But when are we getting stories?
Oh, stories for 3DS.
Because that was my other question, because so the same kid that was like, I love Monster Hunter, he's like, but I can't wait for Monster Hunter stories. So hopefully these two aren't kind of competing for each other.
That's true, because Monster Hunter Stories...
That's just coming out for 3DS though, right?
Yes. And that came out a while ago.
In Japan.
In Japan, yeah. So, you know, that's a really good question. I don't know if we have... it came out in October in Japan, and it's just... It says just Q4 2017. So, like, holiday 2017 worldwide. So, yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if they would push Double Cross maybe into like the beginning of next year.
Yeah.
For the West.
Well, I think it all depends on whether they're simultaneously working on a translation for this.
Yeah.
The Switch version. I mean, based on what you said about programming for the Switch, it seems like it's a pretty easy system to program for.
Yeah, I mean for porting and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I mean this is a 3DS port. I think there's some differences there, but yeah, I don't know. I guess we just kind of wait and see at this point. I think you know, it's one of those things, you know, let Capcom know that we're interested in it, that Switch owners are interested. You know, a lot of the, I mean, you know, they had a lot of success on 3DS with Monster Hunter.
I have a Monster Hunter 3DS, so like
yeah, and yeah, those got released here. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Special edition 3DS's Monster Hunter ones got released here. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, obviously it was huge in Japan, but like, you know, it was on 3DS that the series really broke through in the West, and you know, I think that audience, that 3DS audience, will move to Switch if they haven't already, because it is, you know, it is a little different here. I think you know, it's cool you were talking about how, you know, some kids recognize it, but I think generally it's more people in their like 20s, 30s,
yeah.
maybe.
This is my kid that wants to be a manga artist.
Okay.
So like
so he's a hardcore weeaboo.
He's kind of up on things.
young us.
Yeah, he's mini us. Was that Monster Hunter 3 that we played at C2E2?
Yeah, that they had a 3 Ultimate.
Booth, like
that was
a whole
in like
lounge.
Yeah.
It was about 5 years ago.
2013 maybe?
It was right when we started dating.
Okay, 2012, 2013, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So that's, I mean, yeah, hopefully that gets a localization. If not, I'll play it in Japanese. I don't care. I'm just excited to play a Monster Hunter game on Switch.
On a more comfortable system.
Oh, yeah. And a system I love. So let's talk about another Switch game we've been playing, which is ARMS. We have been playing the Global Testpunch, which is, you know, it's pretty similar to
a global test fire.
Yeah, it's I mean, there's so many parallels between this game and Splatoon, and that was like one of the first things you said after you played it was.
Yeah, and I don't think like there's similarities, but it doesn't feel like a copy of Splatoon.
Oh no.
Like it feels like a different iteration of Splatoon.
Yeah. And I mean, it feels like really in the same way Splatoon did. Like it feels like a Nintendo game.
Oh,
like
yeah.
It's, you know, it's the same thing Nintendo has been doing when, like, you know, everyone's making hardcore racing games. We're gonna make Super Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Everyone's making like super technical fighters. We're going to make Smash Brothers. You know, everyone's making hardcore real-time strategy games. We're gonna make Pikmin. Like, this just, I mean, these feel like the natural evolution.
Yeah.
Like, Splatoon is their shooter, and now ARMS is their
fighting game.
Their
kind of.
Yeah, it's, you know, Smash Brothers is their fighting game, but I feel like ARMS, to me, ARMS feels more like a fighting game.
Well, because I think with ARMS, you're doing more one-on-one fighting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that...
So, like, if you look at something like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, those are one-on-one battles most of the time.
But there's also the, you know...
the tag teams.
And the
But you get that with ARMS, too.
Yeah. So,
but it's also super bright, super bubbly, super punny.
Yeah, lots of personalities. So, okay, let's just kind of walk through how this all works. So in the Global Testpunch, you know, you sign into it and you get like a short tutorial kind of to practice the controls. The first time both of us played it was with the Pro Controller.
Yes.
So, what were your kind of initial thoughts, just as you have the Pro Controller in your hand, you're starting to play this?
So I am not a fighting game person, so like major combos, like you have to do with some of those games. Mm-hmm. Like the technical stuff. I mean, I'm not even that good at Smash Brothers, to be honest, because I always fall off.
Yeah, I'm not either.
But you're still better than me. You're still like way better than me at Smash. But I was really worried that it was gonna be hard, and it wasn't. It's like, and I'm sure like some big like fighting game people are gonna be like, oh, it's too easy, blah blah blah. But like, it's really simple. Like you press one button to shoot with your right arm, the other with your left to shoot to punch. like, I think there's nuances there with hooking your punches.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a learning curve for me because I'm always trying to move and punch at the same time, so I'm inadvertently curving my punches.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. But it's really kind of intuitive and really like simple, but not in a way that it's like a baby game. It's still super fun. I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's like sometimes like a misconception with fighting games that like you need you know, you need 6 buttons, you need a stick, you need like this whole list of like moves of button combinations, and you know, you got to move the control stick half circle forward, half circle back, and then you know, ABC, like but then, you know, you look at something like my favorite fighting series ever is Virtual Fighter. And Virtual Fighter has, you know, you have a punch, a kick, and a block. And that's it. And through the use of, like, those buttons and combinations of those buttons, you know, hitting them at the same time, you know, hitting them when you're angled at different ways, that's where, you know, that's where you get the feel, and it becomes like really natural to play, and it's not like you don't have to have like this exhaustive memory of combinations in your head.
And it's reaction time too. Like, I could know all the combos in the world, but while I'm playing, I'm a technical fighting game, I'm smashing buttons.
Yeah, and so, I mean, honestly, like, what ARMS reminds me the most of is Virtual Fighter. Okay. Because, you know, you're dashing, you're punching, you know, jumping. You have buttons aligned to each of your limbs. And I was actually, I don't know, I started using, like, A and B, I think, to punch. And then I was like, wait, you can use the triggers.
Oh, I never even figured that out.
Yeah, and that feels so much better because it's like, you know, left, right. Like,
that makes sense.
And so that was when I was like, oh, okay, now this really feels like intuitive. And when you're using the triggers, that gives you, your thumb is your right thumb is more free to dash and jump.
Yeah, that
so
makes
you're
sense.
Not like, yes.
That makes sense, especially because you can press Y to charge up a punch, I guess. It was one of the tips that pops up in the bottom.
Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot more to learn about this game.
Oh, totally.
Like this weekend and when it comes out, but I'm sold on it. Like, but I was sold on Splatoon. Like, I was probably sold on this game before the Testpunch even, just because it looks so fun.
Yeah, and like there was just so much character and personality, and like the music rules and everything.
Yeah, the music rules. I love the different types of weapons, arms.
Yeah.
So like I just recorded my first Try My Darling Let's Play for ARMS demo, which isn't up yet, but it will be. And like I definitely have like favorite arms.
Oh yeah. Oh, I have a favorite fighter and favorite arms. Like,
who's your favorite fighter so far?
Ribbon Girl.
Ribbon Girl. Okay.
What about you?
I like Ribbon Girl a lot. She's very agile. I also really liked Mei Mei.
Min?
Ming Ming.
The ramen girl?
Yeah.
Is it? I think it's
Min Min. Min Min.
Yeah.
Min Min.
Because Mei is the girl from Overwatch.
Yeah.
the ice girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the slap one. The slap arm.
Okay.
It's the red one that's shaped like a mitten.
Yeah.
And you go up, slap. And then I like the one that I thought was really interesting was the dragon. Because I played as the wobbly Jello guy too. Helix.
Oh, Helix, yeah.
And like the dragon is really interesting because you can punch. It's like shooting and punching. Shump. Punching. And then when you're aiming, it aims the dragon head with the laser.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, so like it's really interesting.
Huh.
The other thing I would suggest is, you know how Splatoon had that game, the jumpy game, while you were waiting for it?
Oh, the loading.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
loading game. You can warm up. Did you do any of that?
I didn't do that. I
Yeah.
saw it was on there. I thought that would take me back to the tutorial, so
Oh
I
no,
never did it.
it doesn't. It gets you. Just puts you in an arena with a bunch of people holding targets,
Uh-huh.
and it's like truly warming up, like to practice with your
Okay.
arms and stuff. The other thing that's an improvement on Splatoon is you can change your fighter and your weapon in between matches.
Yes. Yep. Yep. That's a big wish for Splatoon 2 is being able to change loadouts between matches. I hope that happens. Yeah, like we should talk a little bit about the lobby system between fights because I didn't even do the warm up, but I still felt like it was so quick between fights, and I thought it was so cool the way it like looked, and you could see like other fights
people,
happening around you,
I
and
know, like
their health bars and everything.
Yeah, like so the lobby system, it puts all of you, probably about 6 to 8 of you, in, and you have your different games going, but you can kind of see what the other games are doing or where the other people are placed. So it's not like Splatoon where you're all playing the same game at once. Like, you're all in the same lobby, but you're kind of switching between team-ups and games and people. So if you finish your match early, because they're not all timed. They're not timed. It's 2 KOs for one head-to-head. 1 KO for a special match. And if you finish early, you can kind of watch what the other people are doing or where they are in their match, or you could do the warm up. And it's pretty much like just everyone else is just kind of floating around the lobby, which is really kind of like, it was quick. Yeah. And there's so many of you and so many different ways you can play that sometimes like a game is still going and you get matched up with someone else to do something else. So
yeah.
And then it just kind of, like, I hope they keep that. I hope this isn't just for test fire. Because, like, then it's super interesting, the random selection of the games you get. So, like, it is really fun just to be in a lobby and play around and be switching games every time.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about some of the modes. You have you're kind of what I was expecting, kind of what I think of when I think of this game, which is your one-on-one fights. Those I think are the true test of skills. Those are the ones where when I'm fighting one-on-one, like I'm super engaged. That's where like I'm actually remembering to block. That's where I'm like...
I forgot to block.
Yeah.
Like, so many times.
I usually do. But that's when I'm like really being deliberate about my movement, and like I'm using the environment, going around the pillars and stuff in like one of the stages.
Yeah, I didn't get put in that stage. So I didn't really get to do that stage, but
okay. Yeah. So like I think that is the that's kind of your, I think that's closest to like a true fighting game. Like that is where the game felt like Virtual Fighter. To me. You're like anticipating attacks, you're really, you're again being deliberate about your placement, where you're at, all of that, and then there's the three-way matches.
Yeah.
Where
it's a little bit more chaotic.
A little bit more. And
if you pick someone up, you can throw them into someone else, I guess. I didn't do it on purpose. I really am lacking control with my throwing of people.
Throwing is tough. It is especially tough in those three-way matches because you could be going to throw someone and then the other person could hit you and interrupt the throw.
Yeah.
And so like it's super risky to be doing that. But I felt like being able to switch your targets, like who you're fighting using like the right stick, like I found that to be really like intuitive.
I'm gonna have to play some more tonight.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get all these nuances, like the right left. I didn't really switch targets. Like I wasn't targeting well.
Yeah. And that's stuff like,
again, I just get really excited and I press buttons and punch.
Yeah, so I've played all 3 of the test punches so far. so like I've had the chance to kind of try all those, just trying a ton
you were
of
up
stuff
super
out.
earlier than this morning.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I played the 6 a.m. one this morning.
Which was 7 a.m. our time, but like...
No, it was 6.
It was 6. Oh, yeah,
It
because
was 5 a.m. there.
Pacific.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, I played that. Yeah, it was totally worth it. But, yeah. And then, so the other matches, I think is there a 4-way, just like pure death match?
I haven't done a 4-way death match. I did a 2-on-2.
Yes,
I
so
did a 2v2.
that is also very interesting.
It's so much fun.
It's...
Well, I also feel like because it looks like you're tied.
You are tied. So my first one that I think is in the video I recorded.
Okay.
I'm like, because this is like my first matches I'm playing. I'm like, I get in a match, I'm ready to go. I'm like rushing in to just start like wailing on dudes, and like it's like I felt like I was like a dog when they're out on a walk and they're like on a leash and they get super excited and they like run after a squirrel, and then you're like, whoa, and like get pulled back. That's kind of how it was, only you don't get like jerked back or anything, but your movement will slow and then stop.
Yeah.
And then like
you can't go too far away from your partner.
Yeah, and like my partner, who like actually knew what they were doing, like was like hanging back and like dodging and like deliberately throwing punches and stuff, where I was just like running in there. So you really have to have that like you have to like really be in sync with your partner. And yes, this was in my video because, and you'll appreciate this, I talked about how it reminded me of that Evangelion episode where Shinji and Asuka they're losing fights in the simulation because they're not in sync, so they have to practice DDR.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, that dancing game. It's, like, both of you dance like you want to win, and so that they can get their movements in sync. Like, I feel like that's what you have to do to, like,
and it's
really
a really
excel.
interesting twist on it, too, because, like, you can't talk to the person that you're fighting with.
As of right now, no.
As of right now, no. But, like, I think that's okay, because it's... And we'll get into this with how I used my Switch this week.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's really okay because it makes you pay attention to what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I felt that way for volleyball too.
Yes.
Which is my favorite mode.
Let's talk about volleyball. Volleyball, I can't believe this. So there's a few controversial things happening on ARM's Twitter this weekend. Maybe the most, probably second most controversial is volleyball. Like, a lot of people do not like volleyball, and I think they are crazy. Volleyball is so fun.
It is.
It is awesome. Like I kind of get like it's a little less precise.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter
because the physics are like a little weird. Like you'll hit the ball at like a weird angle and it will go like somewhere weird, and
but it's not even a ball. It's like a balloon bomb.
Yeah,
like,
but that I think it's so fun. I
love
love it. Yeah.
I loved volleyball. Volleyball was my favorite.
Yeah.
So, like, when I recorded my video, I said, I wonder if we'll be able to choose volleyball. But then, thinking about the game as a whole, like, I liked the lobby system and the randomization.
Mm-hmm. And I think for, like, I like the randomization, too. Like, it keeps it, like, really fresh and exciting and unexpected. I think that's going to be awesome when, when we have the full game and we're playing... once you've played like X amount of hours, like you want to keep it fresh and everything. And for people who do want like the hardcore fighting experience, that's what ranked play is going to be for.
Okay.
And I'm sure with that, you'll be able to kind of choose your parameters and everything. Mm-hmm. So,
no, I thought, the matches are short, like Splatoon matches. They're like, like 2 KOs, which is like short.
It's like a minute or two for most matches. Yeah,
a minute or two for most matches. Volleyball was timed; it was about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
and it's perfect. Like that
Mm-hmm.
short little bites. It was super fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Stay fresh.
And you always get a reward at the end.
Yeah.
Like, you always get at least one arms yen.
Yeah.
Is what I'm calling them, because I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a currency or if that's, like, experience point system.
You get one money.
Yes. So I like that even if, like, you are the last place in your match, you still, like, at least get, like, one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, like, you don't see, like, a bar, like, going down or something when you lose.
Yeah.
Or, that's pretty great. So yeah, I mean, so I guess that kind of brings me to, there's two more things I want to talk about the game and kind of, its prospects for the future. First thing, I guess kind of related to that is, I think for, like, the longevity of it, for people like us who are not, like, hardcore competitive fighting game players, like, we are not buying this game so that we can, play 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that we can go to, like, Evo and get sponsored and compete on a global stage, or, like, that's not why we're playing this. So, something that I kind of complained about a bit when John and I were talking about Mario Kart 8, 8 Deluxe on Switch, is it didn't really feel like there was enough of, like, a meta game there, because everything was unlocked right from the beginning, and there wasn't like a lot to be kind of working towards. It was more just, like, playing for the fun of playing, which is totally fine. But when you're investing, like, a lot of time into these kind of games, like, it's nice to even something as simple as, like, in Splatoon, you have your experience bar, and you're always, like, going up levels, and you're comparing what level you're at with, like, your friends, and you're getting new gear.
But I think for this, you are going to be unlocking new gear. You're going to be unlocking new arms. Yeah,
and I mean, it's going to be, I mean, that's also a tough thing to balance too, because the different arms, like, have a, like, pretty fundamental effect on, like, how matchups work. Like, some are definitely going to be more powerful and more and better than others. I mean, it's kind of like car parts in Mario Kart in a way, but I think it's going to be even more pronounced here.
But I also think, just like in Mario Kart, it depends on how you drive.
Yes.
Because, like, I always choose something that may not have the best speed, but the maneuverability has to be high, because I'm not a great driver.
Sure.
And the same kind of thing for arms, like something that takes super technical hitting, like a tiny little hand.
Yeah.
I did try one I didn't like. The big bomb one on mechanical.
Was that, like, a slow?
Yeah, it was
one?
so slow.
Yeah. And, I mean, I think, I think that stuff is going to be, it's going to be cool, unlocking. I mean, I'm hoping just for, like, a lot of just, like, aesthetic stuff to, like, maybe, be unlocking different, like, outfits, different, again, going back to, Virtual Fighter, something great that was introduced in, like, Virtual Fighter 4 and 5 is you could get, these just ridiculous, like, items to put on your character, like wacky sunglasses or a pirate hat or like whatever. Like,
well, and Splatoon does that too.
Yeah,
like I like how Splatoon's gear works, where you level up your gear and you get the extra powers.
Yeah, but even something that's doesn't really affect your stats or anything, just like extra stuff to change the make your fighter unique type stuff. Like, that's something I would like to see. I mean, I hope they keep some sort of, like, leveling system equivalent, like, similar to Splatoon.
I think if there's going to be ranked play, there's got to be leveling.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope that's not just in ranked play, though, because there's a separate ranking in Splatoon. Like, you have your numeric level, and then for ranked play, you have, like, your letter. And I hope that I hope there is just that like extra like metagame component, like a way to kind of compare your progress with your friends, because I was a big proponent of. I was really hoping the Switch would have like achievements or trophies.
I know.
And that didn't happen. It's, I mean, obviously not a deal breaker for me. But it is so nice to have those ways to compare with your friends and challenge each other.
Because we both would have been platinuming Breath of the Wild.
Oh God. Yeah. So,
I don't know if you could stand to get all those Koroks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is something you can measure and share, but you kind of have to do that with like a lot of Nintendo games. It's a lot of like, okay, take a screenshot of this and then post it on Twitter, and that's how you kind of compare with your friends. But having that stuff built into the games or built in at the system level, like achievements and trophies, are like, that's something I want. So, I mean, as far as like longevity, I don't know what the Grand Prix mode is going to be in, which is, apparently like the single player mode. I don't know if it's a story mode or if it's just like you just go in there and like fight computer characters. I don't know how expansive that will be.
Yeah, I mean, there are some good precedents in this kind of game because there's Splatoon, which their single player was so-so.
Yeah.
But if you think of the single player in Mario and Racing Transform.
Oh yeah.
Friends.
Yep.
Like that. That's as soon as you said Grand Prix mode, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because like that was a really kind of robust single player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think even even with Smash Brothers, I was a huge fan. Like, I didn't play much online Smash.
The challenges.
I liked the challenges. I liked collecting all the trophies.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it's the same thing with Hyrule Warriors, too. Like, there was the story mode, but then there were the challenge maps.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm hoping... I don't know if ARMS is going to be that robust, but I hope it's not just like a bare bones like multiplayer package, because I don't know, like, if you're not like playing every day and super competitive, like I don't know how far that would go. And Capcom took a lot of heat, was it last year or 2 years ago, whenever Street Fighter V released, because that was like a really bare bones, like it was a great game, but there wasn't much to do if you weren't like a hardcore online fighter. And then they've like gradually patched in stuff. But
I mean, I have faith in Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we say this all the time. Like, they don't put out things and then they don't often put out things and then say, oh shit, and patch them later.
Yeah, but I mean, to play devil's advocate, Splatoon was pretty light on content when it first released, and then they, it kind of suffered, in review scores a bit for that, like.
But to play devil's advocate again, like Splatoon was a risk.
Yeah.
And ARMS is a risk. So like when you're taking a risk like that, it makes sense to, I mean, not put out a skeleton of a game, but put out something cautious and then add to it later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So ARMS might be the same way. It might start slow, but we know with Splatoon that they supported that game fantastically.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah. Lots of free updates.
Yeah.
I mean, like pretty much all free updates.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess the other and probably the most controversial bit with ARMS is the control methods, which is to me kind of a non-controversy, but people have very strong opinions about it because it is a video game and it is a video game from Nintendo, so people definitely have very strong opinions on it. But you have quite a few different ways to play this. You can, use a Pro controller. You can play it in portable mode. You can take the Joy-Con off and put it in the
thumbs up pose.
No. I was
thinking the controller.
the grip.
Yeah.
Then you can play with a Joy-Con sideways. Yep. And then finally, there's the motion controls, the thumbs up pose, which, so
I haven't tried it thumbs up, so
I have. So there's, that is the way it introduces the game on the title screen. That is kind of how the game has been shown in Nintendo's like marketing and stuff. Like, when it was initially shown, it was kind of shown as a motion control, puncher. You have, a Joy-Con in each hand and everything. And I that has been Nintendo's marketing, and that has been their message. And I think that has, for better or worse, created the idea that that is the correct way to play the game. And so I think some people have, I think that creates a tricky situation where, some people are like, well, I want to play the game the right way. And like, so I'm going to like learn these motion controls. And then for some people, they're like, oh, cool, I got it. And okay, now I'm playing the game the right way. This rules. Other people are like, this is the way I'm supposed to be playing this game, but I cannot abide these motion controls. Like,
this is you, right?
Yeah, like I can't hang with these motion controls.
No. That's you.
That's that's me.
But I punch things for fun, so I might like it more.
And and I think that's totally cool. I don't know, I feel like the motion controls are really interesting. They work ish. But
it doesn't really matter, because like that's the joy of. I mean, why care what everyone thinks is the right way to play?
Well,
when you have fun.
People do. So
it's me going, what? Why care about what people think?
Yeah. But for me, I tried the motion controls. I was not comfortable with them. But I'm also a heathen who does not use the motion controls in Splatoon, and
I'm not sure
in the gyro controls, I should say. So for me, like, I prefer playing games, and especially on the Switch, where most of my Switch play is in portable mode. Like, when I'm like laying on the couch playing a Switch game, like, I'm not.
You don't want to be punching?
Yeah, like, I don't. I don't want that experience. So I think it rules that there are plenty of options for controls. I think the Switch is really great in that way, that there's so many different options. And
I'll talk about this in my part 2 about how I use my Switch this week, but it's really interesting, and it's really hard to get over not needing a motion bar.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. I think it rules if you love these motion controls, and you're not wrong. That is the message that Nintendo's been using around this game, but don't control shame people. That's all I'm going to say. If someone wants to use a Pro Controller, they can use a Pro Controller.
Don't game shame my husband.
Yeah, so, yeah. But, no, I definitely, I'm such a huge fan of the way, the Switch feels in portable mode. Like, I just love it as a handheld, and I also just adore the Pro Controller. So it's like, it's one of those things, like, even if, like, I'm never going to give other control options the fair shake in general, like, no. Because I'm always just going to be like,
I will during the next Testpunch, and I'll report back the next time I record. So
yeah, okay, yeah. So more power to y'all, but yeah.
Okay, what have you been playing, Ryan?
I play a little bit of Fire Emblem.
A little bit.
A little bit. So yeah, Fire Emblem, man.
I haven't gotten to play this game yet. We have one cartridge for the whole family here.
Yeah,
The
the
two of
kittens
us.
haven't been able to play either. So yeah, so this is one of those. You know, I play a ton of video games. Like I try a lot of video games. We have a ridiculous amount of consoles here. I pick up and play.
You can see behind us here.
Yeah, I pick up and play like so many games in the course of a month. You know, I play a lot of RPGs. I play the first 5 hours of a lot of RPGs.
So do I. And
Yeah.
then I start over.
Yeah, well, yeah, or I never touch them again. But yeah, something, and you know, this was kind of weird going into this game, Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia.
Because you never finished Birthright or Conquest, did you?
I finished my recent Fire Emblem experiences on 3DS. I have been like, I got Awakening, like loved it, finished it, even started a new game of it, which I didn't finish, but you know, I did start over in it because I liked it so much. Then Birthright was the first version of Fates that I got, and I played it and I did finish it, but it took me a long time because I lost interest. I shouldn't say lost interest. My interest like kind of waned, and I kept getting distracted by other things, and it wasn't like
there are
a
a lot
huge
of games
priority.
that came out around that time.
Yeah.
So you didn't play Birthright like I did.
Yeah. I still think I finished it before you though.
Maybe.
But
Because I went back and like I did everything.
yeah.
Like I did every possible thing I could do in that game.
Yeah, I think you probably put more hours into it.
Yeah. And I
But
just started Awakening and then I got distracted, so.
yeah, and then I picked up I finally picked up Fate's Conquest. I think it was like a Black Friday deal or something. Like it was just super cheap, and I picked that up and I started playing it, and I played like maybe 3 hours, and I was just like, I'm just not into this.
Remember us getting that one.
And I think like I was kind of over the characters and the story and like I don't know, like kind of the extraneous aspects of it, like the idea of, you know, after finishing Birthright and then starting over with a new base and having to like level up all that stuff and level up all those relationships and do all like the talking and stuff between the battles, which is fine to do once, but then like
it makes sense. Like you need to break in between.
Yeah, like I just, you know, and I don't think any of the Fates games like are ones I'm ever going to revisit, just because there was just that like extra layer of stuff removed from the, you know, base gameplay, which is kind of what I came there for.
Yeah, I didn't love like picking up materials from people.
Yeah.
There are some parts of that base game I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
Or the extraneous stuff. Like I see in your notes that Echoes cuts out the dating.
Yeah.
But see, I like the relationship stuff and I like the dating stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like a ton.
I liked it.
Which is more my thing than you.
Well, you know, in Awakening I cared.
Yeah.
In Awakening I cared about
I think I did choose my husband.
About the dating stuff. Then in Birthright it was more of just a novelty, and I wasn't really invested, and I didn't really like just doing it again. It's kind of like how I cared more about who I dated in Mass Effect 2 than I did in Mass Effect 3. Like I mean, I can anyways, we won't go into all that, but
because I can give you the correct answer.
It's Thane.
Liara, Thane, Liara, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can still hook up with Thane in 3.
Okay. So yeah, so I don't, so I just didn't care in Birthright. In like Conquest I like infinitely didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, like going into this, like I was going into Shadows of Valentia not really loving the last Fire Emblem game I played, which was, you know, kind of rare because it's one of my favorite series, and I Fates just by the end of it, I was just kind of over it, and I was like, I don't know, man, is this still gonna be like one of my favorite series? Like, not that the Fates games are even close to bad or anything. I was just like, it just felt, I don't know. I was like, maybe these just aren't for me anymore. Maybe this series is like moving, in a different direction. That's not really for me. Like, because I've been, I've been a fan of the series since like the first localized games, the GBA games, back in 2002, 2003, whenever that was. Took a while for the series to make it over here, but I adored those GBA games, especially Sacred Stones, which is super underrated. But yeah, so going into this, like, I bought the special edition, and I was like,
it's super pretty.
It's super cool looking, but I'm like, I hope I like this.
Because you have bought the special edition of Fates too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's what I ended up playing.
Yeah, and then I started playing it, and I think within like 2 or 3 hours on that like first Friday night, I was totally hooked. I ended up playing, I think, 12 hours the first weekend, and that is like including like, work and stuff that like I had to do.
Spending time with his wife.
Yeah, like I still managed to play 12 hours of that game, which is something I haven't done since like Breath of the Wild.
Actually, I don't think I saw him that weekend.
And since then I've played every day. I'll play a battle before I go to work. I'll play a few battles before I go to bed.
Have you been late to work?
No, I have not. But
I still hold that trophy.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's just become part of my routine. I'm playing it constantly, like
before bed.
Yeah, like there's just so much in this one that like really speaks to me. Like, for one, it's kind of cut out a lot of the there's much less anime melodrama in it, which became a little bit much in Fates, and a lot of like the character archetypes, especially some of like on the conquest side, like there's,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like you whatever. But this kind of takes the story back to kind of those, because this is a remake of a Famicom game that we never got here because we didn't get the series until Game Boy Advance, so we missed out on the Famicom and Super Famicom releases in the series in Japan. But yeah, this kind of scales that back. There's no like time travel or like alternate dimensions or maybe there is, but I haven't gotten to it yet. But it definitely feels more of like this is a story about like I don't want to say small group of characters, because you're kind of leading two different armies, two different small armies, or but the characters are I feel like they're just more grounded, and the story is more grounded. Like, there's still like supernatural stuff. There's zombies and magic, and
there was a lot of weird like things. Like, as much as I like the relationship building in Fates, like there were a lot of weird like things that didn't make sense with the relationships that like, yeah. I mean, the whole sibling thing, and then like, oh no, we have to protect you, and there's like no reason for that.
Yeah, like, it was a lot of like just it was very anime. Like,
it was very anime.
And which is fine. I like anime, but I kind of, when it comes to like tactical strategy games, like I prefer the like the old school Fire Emblem, like Shining Force, Final Fantasy Tactics Ogre, like that sort of like warring kingdoms. There's magic and mythicism, but
which is what Awakenings is kind of like too.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's closer than Fates, but it's still like, that's still kind of you know, there's like time travel and stuff in there, and
Yeah.
some of the characters are kind of like archetypes that like their whole thing is like, I love candy. And like, and you're like, well, and I think the characters in this game, like there are some like quirky ones, but I feel like they're on a whole, like you're dealing with, you know, childhood friends who like grew up in the same village, like that that sort of thing. And I think there's actually some pretty touching moments, and I don't know, the characters just feel very real. And I think part of it too is this game has a ridiculously good dub, which is weird because I am not a dub guy.
No, you're not.
In any way, shape, or form. Like you know, when this is probably, to me, this is the best dub of a game for me since Final Fantasy 12.
Oh, okay.
Where like you're just like, man, these voices really fit these characters. Like these people are, you know, reading the lines in like interesting ways. They're, you know, it's not just like, you know, reading a translation of the Japanese. Like it's really the voice acting's really giving like the character's character.
Okay.
So like they just did an amazing job, and there's a ton of voice acting in this game. And you know, I've played probably 20 hours, 20 plus 25 hours maybe.
Yep.
And I have not turned the English voices off yet.
That's
which is
like, usually you turn those off in the first like hour.
Yeah. And so and
Well, I can't wait till you finish it.
yeah. So
I mean, yes, like there are games that we have 2 copies of so that both of us can play it, but there's enough for me to play.
yeah. I guess I mean, so yeah, there's kind of the biggest change to this game from like your traditional Fire Emblem experience is you're not just moving around on a map to fight enemies. You're also going into dungeons, and it's like total 3D. Like you're running around in a cave, and like enemies are popping up like in, I guess the closest comparison is, weirdly enough, Persona, where you're like in a dungeon and like you see an enemy on the map in front of you, and you can run up and you can attack them first, and they'll take some extra damage, and then you go into your like strategy RPG fight.
Yeah.
But
I like that because I like Persona.
Yeah, and that's really, it's really cool. Because your first time through the dungeon, you're more like exploring and stuff. But what I found is this game, even on normal difficulty, is pretty challenging. So I'm on chapter 4 out of, I believe, 6 chapters. So it's already, I've lost some battles. I've made it through some of the story battles by like the skin of my teeth, like 1 or 2 characters.
So did they
alive.
do the thing they did for Awakening and Fates, where if you play on easier mode, you don't lose your people forever?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. No, so I haven't, I'm playing on normal mode, and then for like permadeath, I have permadeath off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I
would have no one left.
I don't have time for that, to go back and replay battles over and over again, trying not to lose anyone. Yeah, that was cool when I was in college in 2004. Not something I can really devote time to now. I just want to finish the game. So, but yeah, even on normal mode, it gets pretty challenging. So you actually have to go and grind. And I found the best way to do that is to just to go into these dungeons, and you run around and you find guys, and then it has an auto battle like in Fire Emblem Heroes, the mobile game.
Oh.
Where so you can run up, attack a dude, and then
turn on auto battle.
Just hit charge, and then 2 turns later you've won. And after, so obviously the units who attack, just like in any of these Fire Emblem games, the units who attack get experience. If you heal, you get experience. But then at the end of a battle, everyone who's still alive gets a little bit of experience.
That's good.
So I found that like it's actually like a really cool and um, satisfying way to grind. Like I'm actually
Because
really
I've always
enjoying.
found that like there are characters that I find later in the game that I want to use, but then I can't because they're so underpowered compared to the enemies that I'm at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so this is so it's real good.
I've noticed.
Yeah, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised that that I love this game as much as I did, and it like it was you know that it's that feeling of worry like when one of your like favorite bands puts out a record that you're like when one of your favorite bands puts out Agony and Irony and you're like um and but then they come back with like an awesome record of This Addiction right afterwards and you're like okay yes yep I'm still on board I still love you
Anthem and then GNBFLA.
yeah yep so yeah so that's it's a great feeling it's actually I mean this is unless it like totally goes off the rails towards the end. I think this is going to be one of my favorite Fire Emblem games, probably in top 3. It's really good. It really kind of speaks to my taste. I think it might I think it might alienate some fans who kind of like the people do love like the dating stuff and all that, and that not being in there
stuff.
is like it's going to make it a harder sell for some people, and it may not like jive with some people, and I think that's I totally get that and respect that. But
I also play like straight up dating sims. So.
Right. And but for me, for like my taste of like a 90s and 2000s strategy RPG fan, like this game is just perfect for me. I love it so much.
Yeah.
So
I can tell.
yeah. All right. So yeah, before we wrap up here, why don't you share your Nintendo Switch story?
Okay. Well, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I work at an elementary school. I know I've mentioned that. And I'm a counselor. I'm a school psychologist. So I do counseling groups with my kids. And I have kids, I really do see kids from kindergarten through 5th grade. And it's the end of the year. We have 1 week left. I actually only have 2 days left, and I'm not even sure I'm going to do therapy in those 2 days. So I always like to do something fun for the last week of school. And most of the time it's watching Inside Out or something like that's relevant, but also they don't know I'm teaching them things. But a lot of my theme the last month has been teamwork, and with 1-2 Switch coming out, I thought it would be a really interesting idea to bring my Switch and play it with the kids. So I tried it with a whole classroom of students with emotional disabilities. There were about 8 of them in there. I tried it with 1 2nd grade group, a 4th grade group. I feel like I did it with more. 2nd grade. Who else do I see on Tuesdays? A couple 4th grade groups. And it's always kind of a gamble because you don't want your administration kind of looking in and being like, why are you playing video games? So you have to be able to kind of justify that. But then, like, you don't want these kids to get so hyped up and overexcited that they kind of lose the point of why we're doing this. So my point was that 1-2 Switch is all about looking each other in the eye and cooperating that way. So that's how I was going to justify it if I got in trouble. But surprisingly, it was probably one of the best things that we've done all year. So with the larger class, we played it like around the world, where 2 people would challenge and then the winner would play the next person. So that worked really well with everyone getting a turn. Nobody was ever really mad when they lost. They'd get like, oh, he's winning all the time. But for kids with emotional disabilities, no one got mad. No one threw anything. My Switch survived. The most interesting, though, was my second graders, who tend to get overly focused on things. They really, really, really responded well to this. They reminded each other to look each other in the eyes. They pointed out things that I hadn't thought of. So, for example, one of the games that came up, we just played Shuffle. So it would be any game. One of the things that came up was Safecracker.
Oh, okay.
Where you have to pay really close attention to that. And, like, most of my kids are ADHD, social pragmatics, like, social problems, trouble noticing their own state. So, like, they pointed out, like, oh, hey, like, you really have to pay attention to how it feels. And then they still talked about it days afterwards, saying, like, oh, yeah, we had to practice looking each other in the eye, and we had to pay attention to each other, and we had to listen really hard. And I also had a 4th grade girl that I've been trying, she's only been with us for about a month and a half, and I've been really trying to, like, build rapport and get her to kind of open up. She's just really timid and shy, won't try anything, and I made her laugh and smile for the first time. Because we played beach flag race, so we were, like, looking at each other.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. A lot of my kids that have trouble losing didn't have trouble losing with the Switch. My 4th grade, like, and nobody got too excited and shouty, which is, like, I mean, you teach 3rd grade. Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
Like, when you're teaching 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders, like, if you're playing a video game, they're gonna get shouty, and no one got shouty.
That's really impressive.
Yeah. Also, we got to play Runway with a couple of them, and it's, some of my kids in my population could get really sensitive about male-female roles. Didn't mind at all.
Nice.
Yeah. My 4th graders had been looking forward to this, and the 2nd grade group that it worked really well with and the 4th grade group that it worked really well with, are both groups that have trouble noticing things in others. So they were the true focus of it, like, where they were having trouble, like, looking at each other, stopping and listening. And, like, they got it. Like, it really taught them, hey, this is what I need to do. And it was just really interesting. It's like, I want to write a paper on it. Like, I bet I could publish this, because, like, it was a really useful tool for what I do with my kids. I've had a couple kids, it's the end of the year, I've had a couple kids that just asked to spend time with me. So I took a 5th grader and a 2nd grader together on Thursday. And for two kids that didn't know each other, and this is one of the things I was talking about when this game came out, and you were like, I don't play party games that much. 2 kids that didn't play with each other or know each other at all are, like, asking to be with each other again. So, like, they played, and then they both came up to me separately the next day saying, hey, can we play again? Like, just a board game. It's okay if you don't have your Switch. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, like, really, really, really cool things with bringing the Switch to work.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And we also, as a treat, if they did really well, we played 1 or 2 dances of Just Dance.
Nice. Nice.
But that was also, like, I don't know, because the kids, I don't know if you see this in your classroom, but the kids don't cut loose. I mean, not
yeah.
Like, I mean,
I see kids cutting loose. It's
not like with behavior, but like they don't, like, be themselves and be weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a fun sort of way. Like, there's the tough guy acting up sort of way, or the self-protection way, but they'd never just cut loose and be silly anymore. And it was also really nice to see them kind of cut loose and be silly.
Yeah.
Especially 4th and 5th graders.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was, I treat with my speech pathologist all the time, my speech therapist, and it was awesome for both of us to see that it went so much better than I expected it to be kind of a wash, like, we could argue for it, but the kids wouldn't really get it, and then admin would be like, why are you having so much fun? They didn't get shouty, admin never came in, and they actually learned. So, way better than I thought it was going to.
Nice.
So, educational tool, Nintendo Switch.
That rules. All right. Well, I think that's a great place to kind of wrap up this episode. A nice posy note to end on. Cool. Well, if you want to contact us, you can check out our blog, nintendofunclubpodcast.com. You can email us, nintendofunclubpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube. Just search Nintendo Fun Club Podcast. I have uploaded a lot of videos, and you have your first one going up really soon here.
Yes, I'm hoping...
If it's good.
It's awesome. I'm in it. No, I stuttered a bit.
Oh, I never stutter. I never say like. I never say
You say all the time.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible.
I remember...
I have to edit myself, and
Yeah.
it is the worst. I'm so sorry about that.
Hopefully there'll be more. I've been playing a lot of older Wii games lately, like Kirby's Epic Yarn. I started up Last Story again. That's not so great for recording.
Yeah, RPGs don't really work very well.
But Kirby's Epic Yarn, Endless Ocean.
Yeah, you got to do those Endless Ocean videos. I feel like
the sperm whale.
Man, the sperm whale that found that crack and went in there. That's some good storytelling. Right
I
there.
also want to do the Atlas operation.
Oh, Trauma Center, Trauma Team.
Center.
Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, you can check out our videos there. You can find me on Twitter at Brandwarf, BraWndWarf. And what about you?
I'm on Twitter at MabelGirl3, MableGRL3.
Awesome. So thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.